Have you ever stopped to wonder why we are so completely obsessed with stories? I mean, from ancient campfires to the latest streaming binge, what is it about a good narrative that just grabs us and doesn't let go? Well, today we're going to unlock the secret code that's hiding behind almost every story you've ever loved. Okay, let's just start with this massive question. The whole entertainment industry, we're talking books, movies, video games, you name it, it's a multi-billion-dollar machine. We pour incredible amounts of our time, our money, and, our emotional energy into these fictional worlds. So why? Is it all just for fun, or is there something, something much deeper, almost primal going on here?
And that leads us right into our first big idea, because it turns out the answer goes way, way beyond simple entertainment. Stories aren't just a way to kill time, they might actually be a fundamental tool for human survival.
So how in the world could a story be a survival tool? Well, one really powerful theory suggests that they act as social simulations. Think of it like a flight simulator, but for your social life. It lets you experience all these complex human interactions and see what happens, all from a totally safe distance. So this social simulation thing works by helping us sharpen our theory of mind. That's our ability to figure out what other people are thinking and feeling. We get to learn about tricky social dynamics, we practice judging people's intentions, and we see the consequences of good and bad decisions, all without any real-world risk. If you misjudge a character in a book, no big deal. But if you misjudge a scammer in real life, yeah, that's a very different story. Okay, so if stories are these powerful social simulators, what are the building blocks? What's the code running underneath? Well, that brings us to the archetype code, these ancient evolved patterns that our minds use to make sense of the whole social world. So what exactly is an archetype? It's not just a simple character type, like the funny sidekick. No, it's way deeper than that. It's an evolved psychological tendency that's baked into us to help solve reoccurring social problems. It's basically a mental shortcut that gets us ready for common human experiences. For instance, think about this. We all have a fundamental need for care, right? Especially when we're kids. This recurring social problem gives us the caretaker archetype, a pattern that helps us identify and seek out people who will look after us. On the flip side, the constant challenge of cooperating with others gives rise to the cheater archetype, which helps us spot those who might try to take advantage of us.
And this is why stories feel both brand new and totally timeless at the same time. They take these familiar, universal archetypes that our brains are already wired to get, and they drop them into new situations with fresh details. This blend is the secret sauce for keeping us hooked. It's familiar enough that we can process it easily, but it's new enough to keep us curious and learning.
So if stories are social simulations that are built from archetypes, then you can think of fiction as a kind of social gym. Seriously, it's a place we go to work out our social muscles, one story at a time. So here's what that workout looks like. First, you meet a new character. Right away, your brain gets to work judging their intentions, their personality. Then you sit back and watch how their actions play out and lead to certain social consequences. And the best part, you learn a valuable lesson about human behavior, all from the safety of your couch. Now, you might be wondering why this social gym is so darn effective. Well, here's the really wild part. On a deep, almost automatic level, our brains don't draw a big, bold line between what's real and what's fictional. We react to characters as if they're real people. That's why you might feel actual sadness when your favorite character is written off a show. Your brain is processing a very real social loss. All right, let's bring this down to earth and get practical. How does this whole archetype code actually play out in the movies and shows we watch every day? We're going to decode one of the fastest judgments we make, figuring out who the heroes and villains are. Now, really, think about it. You sit down to watch something new, and within minutes, sometimes seconds, you just have this gut feeling about who the good guy is and who you should probably be a little worried about. How do our brains do that so fast? It's not magic. It's a script that storytellers and our own minds have perfected over thousands of years. And when you lay them all out, the cues are almost ridiculously obvious. Storytellers use a visual shorthand that taps right into our archetypal programming. Heroes, they often get lighter hair, lighter clothes, they're more conventionally attractive, and they have pleasant expressions. And the villains? Yep, they get the exact opposite. Darker colors, lower attractiveness, often with scars, and stern or angry faces. But here is where it gets truly mind-blowing.
The research shows that these visual cues aren't just for decoration. Studies found that our moral judgment of a character's actions is directly influenced by how they look. We're literally more likely to excuse the behavior of a character who looks like a hero and judge that exact same behavior more harshly if it's done by someone who looks like a villain.
Okay, so stories are a social gym, and they use archetypes to teach us. But the impact doesn't just stop with us as individuals. This whole process can scale up and have a massive effect on society as a whole. And this power of narrative can have some incredible positive effects. Research has shown that being exposed to fiction can literally make us better people. It can reduce how much we rely on stereotypes, it can increase our openness to new experiences, and it can measurably improve social skills like empathy and seeing things from someone else's perspective. And here's a perfect real-world example of this in action. By creating sympathetic, funny, and just relatable characters from a marginalized group, a show like Will and Grace is widely credited with helping to increase social acceptance of homosexuality. The story let millions of people vicariously hang out with and understand the perspective of others, and that helped drive real social change. Now, it's worth pointing out that not all stories work in exactly the same way. We can kind of break them down into transporting stories and transforming stories. Transporting stories, like a lot of big blockbuster movies, lean heavily on those stock, archetypal characters. They're super easy for our brains to process, and they're great at delivering a big emotional experience. Transforming stories, on the other hand, often use more complex, deeply developed characters that really challenge our expectations. They take more mental effort to get through, but they can reward us with a genuinely new way of seeing the world.
And all of this leaves us with one last, really fascinating question. In recent years, we've seen the rise of the anti-hero. Characters like Walter White from Breaking Bad. These characters are so morally gray, they completely defy easy categorization. So what does their popularity mean? Does it reflect new, complicated social challenges we're all trying to simulate and understand? Or could it be that our ancient archetypal codes themselves are actually starting to evolve? Now that's something to think about the next time you press play.